Welcome back, awakened souls, to our community of awakening humans on planet Earth. Those of us who are finding our way to higher states of consciousness. I am recording. I'm probably going to record more than one video as I'm sitting here. I'll feel my way through it. But I'll start with a question from one of my subscribers, or actually a comment from one of my subscribers. It kind of serves as a good backdrop for what I'm going to share in this particular video. If you see me show up looking exactly the same in a few others, it's because I'm recording more than one video on the same day. This is a viewer, subscriber from Maryland. These are questions that came in when people read the PDF download that's available at AlisonPhillips.tv/community, where I shared a conversation that I had with my divine team. And the topic of the conversation was, how can we solve any problem that arises in our experience, or something like that. I can't remember the exact title. So this is a subscriber from Maryland who said, thanks for this. To me, it's always very helpful to hear various perspectives on everything. I seem to resonate with most of what your team shared. However, I believe that what your team shares with you, Alison, is primarily relevant to and for you. As you know, there is but one consciousness, which apparently expresses itself in infinite ways. The notion that you and I are exchanging emails is still part of the illusion. So the very notion that there is a problem to solve at all is an illusion as well. If I were to ask my team how to solve any problem, I think they would say, there is no problem to solve. There's nothing to do. It is simply, effortlessly, and beautifully unfolding. So I wanted to reflect on what this subscriber shared in light of what I am also going to share in addition in this video. I'm also going to ask that you watch the entire video before you comment, because toward the end of the video, I'm going to invite you to comment in a more elevated way so that we can all benefit from the conversation we're going to have on this topic, okay? So in reference to what this viewer in Maryland shared, I believe what your team shares with you, Alison, is primarily relevant to and for you. The clarification I'm going to add there is the question that I asked my divine team that ended up being that PDF download was actually not my question. It came from someone else. And sometimes when I sit and I have conversation with my divine team on my bed, usually is when I'm doing it, right, where I'm just recording into my iPhone. I am not asking, my conversations with my divine team today aren't really Q&A, you know, it's not questions per se. Even that entire video series that I just released on how 30 plus answers on how we play with the universe, even all of those questions were not my own. It's questions I received from other people, even though I learned a lot in the recording and the bringing through of those answers when I had that conversation with my Q&A with my divine team as well. But the question of how to solve any problem that arises in our experience was not my question. It was a question from one of actually more than one has come up in so many different conversations, but it wasn't my question. But when I sit with my divine team and I ask questions on behalf of others, I ask them in the exact same way that it was asked of me. So I wanted to clarify that. And we are one consciousness and apparently expresses itself in infinite ways. Absolutely, that's what we are, right? We're all fractals of the one divine source, infinite intelligence. The notion that you are exchanging emails is still part of the illusion. And yes, we live in I call it a skit. I tend to not call it an illusion, because what's the point of calling it an illusion? We're still all playing roles anyway, whether we see it as an illusion or not, we're still playing roles. So I just call it a skit, a play, you know, a play of infinite intelligence, all of us playing different roles in different aspects of our lives and all of that. So when we call it an illusion, sometimes we feel like we shouldn't be participating at all in the illusion. And I love participating in the illusion. I love the play. I love the skit. And we're supposed to love it all. We're supposed to love all aspects of expressions of infinite intelligence. So I think if The notion that there is a problem to solve at all is an illusion. Everything is an illusion, even you watching me is an illusion. So everything that we're experiencing is a skit, a play, something we came to explore. I tend to call it an exploration because that's what, that's how I view it, is that we're just here exploring all aspects of this, this play called human existence. The notion that there is a problem to solve at all is an illusion as well. What I want to bring through on that, because I was having a conversation with my divine team too on this, and they don't really care what we call our experiences. So if not that they don't care, but they don't mind that we label certain experiences as problems or challenges. And what they want for us more is to know the energy behind it, the what is it that we're feeling, what is the vibration, what is the frequency behind the word. Because you can have a playful, challenging event where everybody at the end of it goes, oh my God, that was so challenging, you know, but it's like the energy behind it is joy, it's fun, it's play, you know. So I don't think the words matter at all. My knowing is that whether we choose to label it problem, challenge, or whatever, our divine team meets us right where we are. And they will use the words that we're using because they are us. There's no separation, as you shared. It's all, we're all one. So someone who experiences a particular life event as challenging, your divine team will speak to you with that word, challenge, problem, and they're okay with that. They lovingly meet us right where we are. And I actually went and added more to the very beginning of that PDF download to share where I am in terms of the word problem and challenge. Also, if you go to my website, AllisonPhillips.tv, and there's a link, a menu option, a link that says 12 premises. Number 6 is the premise that I operate from with regard to problems and challenges. And what I share there is that all of life is just a series of emerging events. And whatever emerges, you can call it a challenge, you can call it a problem, and therefore you experience it as a problem and you experience it as a challenge. When you experience it as an opportunity, a clarifying moment, a moment of clarity, and you use different expressions like that, you experience it, in my experience, we experience it in a very different way. So our divine team, our divine beings, so wants us to know that we are remarkably loved wherever we are, and wherever we are, they will meet us there. And for us to hear and receive, they will at times use human labels like problems, like challenges. They're less interested in the labels that we slap on things and more interested in the frequency and the energy and the level of consciousness that's behind the labels that we use. So yes, absolutely, your divine team will meet you where you are, and they will use words that you are familiar with. They will use words that have meaning for you to reach you right where you are, lovingly reach you right where you are. And so what this viewer was saying is, if I were to talk to my divine team, they will tell me there is no problem to solve, there's nothing to do, it's simply and effortlessly, beautifully unfolding. And that if that is where you are, your divine team, of course, will meet you right there, and they will resonate, they will speak with you in a way that resonates for you. So we're all in different places, and again, lovingly, our divine team meets us where we are. The labels that we use and the words that we use are of little significance, no significance at all to our divine team. What's more important is, where are you in the frequency that you're emitting? Where are you in your understanding of who you truly are? Where are you in the remembering of who you truly are? So I think that is what matters most. But it allowed me, it was a good backdrop for me to share what I want to share in terms of transmuting challenges and experiences, anything that we experience as a challenge or a problem or difficulty in our lives. And so let me go into the three things that I want to share here. And there's so much more that I want to share with regard to how we experience life, as like when my divine team speaks to me about my experiences, the word challenge, problem, difficulty hardly, well, never comes up anymore, because I don't perceive it in that way. For me, life is a series of emerging events, and the way in which I perceive, label, and give meaning. Events show up in our lives, and that's what I was saying in number 6, I believe, of the thing that I wrote on my website called 12 premises from which I create videos, from which I live, from which I communicate with others. I was sharing there that life is a series of emerging events. They show up with zero meaning. It does not matter what experience has emerged in your life right now. It has absolutely zero meaning, no meaning whatsoever, other than the meaning that you have chosen to give it. And the meaning that you have given it determines how you experience it, and also plays a role in what occurs in your life experience next. So what meaning are you giving it? For me, when situations arise in my experience that may be unwanted, I see them as a clarifying moment. I see it as, oh, this is letting me know where I have been vibrationally and what frequency I've emitted vibrationally, and it allows me to course correct and move into a different vibration, move into a different frequency. And there's a lot of other things that I want to share about that as well, but as things arise in my experience that may be quote unquote unwanted or difficult or challenging or problem or whatever you want to call it, I see it as a clarifying experience. I see it as an opportunity to expand, to grow, to evolve, to heighten my level of consciousness, to expand my level of awareness, okay? So when I have a conversation with my divine team about things that are emerging in my experience, it's more around in the way that I understand things that are emerging, right? For others, your divine team will show up and they will use the word problem. They will use the word challenge, because that's where you are, and they lovingly meet you where you are. They don't care about the words. They care about where you are vibrationally, the experience that you're having, and how are you allowing this to be a moment or an experience or a season of grace and enlightenment and a greater awareness and expanded awareness. How are you allowing that to be in your experiences? More of what they want for us, you know, because I think everything that emerges is for us, and it's for growth, expansion, and awareness, okay? So let me go into the 3 things that I want to highlight in this video, and I want to ask you to share in conversation around, which is why I'm asking you to not comment until everything is complete. Make notes if you're going along and you want to, something is coming up as I'm sharing this, that's fine. Make notes and then share them afterwards so we can have some conversation in our community around transmuting problems and challenges. And what does transmute mean? It means change the form of what is appearing into something else. Transcending is moving beyond, okay? Beyond whatever is your current experience into another. And how can you take something that has arisen in your experience and transmute it so that it becomes like your moment of expansion, your moment of awareness, your moment of awakening, your moment of growth, expansion, heightened states of consciousness. You can take anything that arises in your experience and transmute them into what I'm sharing here today. So the first thing that I want to bring to your awareness and to bring to your attention in terms of problems and challenges arising and you experiencing them as tremendous levels of difficulty, problems, and tremendous levels of challenges is you can only experience them that way when you forget who you are. That's number 1. You can only experience them that way when you forget who you are, and it's okay that we at times forget that we are source energy manifested in human form. Because we came to have that skit play out where we're at times forgetting and then remembering again, and at times forgetting and remembering again. But remember, you are source energy. That is what's flowing to you 24/7, through you 24/7. You are source energy. And when we remember that we are God, infinite intelligence, source energy in human form, how can we stay in the vibration of what is perceived as a challenge? We cannot, because we rise and we go, I have a creator frequency flowing through me that allows me to create, to permeate, to transcend, to transmute. I have that ability because I am source energy. And in the remembering of that, you also remember, I can shift how I perceive this. I can give this a very different meaning. I can allow this to be a pivotal point of transcendence, a pivotal point of transmutation, a pivotal point where I wake up and I realize, oh, I am aware that I have created this, and I'm also aware that I can create something different by how I perceive this, by the meaning that I give this, by how I allow it to emerge and transmute in my experience. You can actually experience it that way when you remember that you are all powerful, when you remember you are source energy, playing a temporary role within this human form. And so this human form falls away in the remembering that I am source energy. I am source energy. I am infinite intelligence. The spirit within me is the greater part of who I am. Therefore, I can transcend this. And there is a confidence that emerges when you remember who you truly are. So that's number one that I want to make, to the point that I want to make today. When you remember who you truly are, the dense energy of what is perceived as challenging dissipates in the light of who you are. Number two is we also forget that the thoughts that are emerging is our imagination, right? So when a problem arises and we imagine that it is going to be our downfall, a life event of challenging physical, some kind of physical challenge in our body arises, we can use our imagination to conjure up the thought, oh my God, what if I die from this? Or, oh my God, what if I can't do these things in my life anymore because of this physical thing that's happening to me? That's you using your imagination to torture yourself. And that's an option. When we came into this physical human form, we knew that we can use the power of thought, the power of our imagination, to create that which is preferred, desired, and wanted. And we can also have the option of using our imagination to torture ourselves, to create fear, to create doubt, to create fear is usually the most predominant thing that happens. Worry, right, it's just a flavor of fear, right? So number two is become aware that you can use your imagination about this situation that is arising to create fear, worry, concern, which is really simply using the power of your imagination and what you're conjuring up in your mind to torture your physical form, this human form, right? You can't torture your spirit. Your spirit is at peace. Your spirit is in a sense of well-being. But you can indeed use your imagination and your thoughts to transcend, to create, to permeate, to transmute. Or you can use the power of your imagination to create worry, a dense energy of worry, a dense energy of fear. you can use your imagination in whatever way you choose. It is yours to use in whatever way you want. And I know that when you have created a vibrational current of dense energy, and all of the worry and the fear that is permeating your physical being, right, and your energy, your being, right? You have focused your attention and your imagination so much on worry and fear of what might happen. That is simply using the power of your imagination to torture yourself. Or you can go, I don't want to use my imagination in that way. I want to create more of what is desired. Now, when you are in a vibrational current that's very strong, meaning you have spent a lot of time and a lot of hours or days or maybe even months constantly rethinking of constantly using your imagination to create fear, concern, worry, and all of that. It is sometimes it'll take a little while to for that current to come back into that sense of well-being. But that doesn't mean that you should give up. You are the one creating your reality. No one else is creating the reality that you're experiencing. So you can decide, okay, I've been in that vibrational current long enough. I want to turn the tide now. I want to use the power of my imagination to allow more of what I desire into my experience. Therefore, I can sit on my bed and think of, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? Or I can sit on my bed and go, oh, what if I create this instead? What if I create more abundance here instead? What would that look like? What would that feel like? You can use your imagination in that way as well. So that's number two. You can use your imagination to allow, right? Or you can use your creative frequency to allow more of what is desired, or you can use your imagination and your creative frequency to allow more fear, worry, and more dense energies like that to permeate your body, but you get to choose. So that's number two. Number three is your imagination and your thoughts are just occurring. Now you can use the power of your imagination, and then there are thoughts that are occurring quite almost automatically because of the vibration that you have going on, right? If you have a predominant vibration going on of worry, fear, and concern, then the thoughts that are occurring in your mind are kind of in alignment with that. Because of the law of attraction, whatever thoughts are predominant creates more thoughts of those things, and more thoughts of those things, and more thoughts of those things, right? But when you begin to gradually shift what you're choosing to focus on and what you're choosing as your imagination, right? What you're choosing to imagine, which is really just choosing thoughts, right? What you're choosing to imagine is more in alignment with what you desire, then because of the law of attraction and the current, the vibrational current, it will begin to draw more of those thoughts to yourself, right? So what I want to say about thoughts is, and I created a video about this on my old channel, but all of those videos are muted now, so I'll share this again. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts may be occurring. So for example, a thought can occur and say, oh my gosh, this pain that I'm feeling, what if it's cancer? Because our mind tends to go to the worst thing ever, right? What if it is cancer? That's just a thought that arose in your experience. You can choose to latch on to that thought, like the thought just, it's like a cloud, right? It's floating by. What if it's cancer? And you go, and you grab onto the thought, right? And you bring that thought into your entire being, and you sit there and you go, what if it is? What if it is? Then what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my family? What's going to happen to my children? And you latch onto the thought that occurred. Similarly, a thought can float by. What if it's cancer? And you can go, well, that's an interesting thought. I don't have to pay attention to it. It is just a thought. You can simply watch the thoughts go by and not attach yourself to them and become involved in them. You can become the observer of the thoughts that are occurring rather than a participant of the thoughts that are occurring. So when you are participating in the thoughts that are occurring, you're giving all of the thoughts attention. So they float by and you go, and another one floats by and you go, and another one floats by and you go, but you can see thoughts arising and stay in your spirit rather than in your humanness. You can have a thought arise in this physical form and simply watch it. You can have a traumatic experience arise in your experience, like the death of a loved one, and you can actually stay in that place of peace because you're in that observer mode. So this life is a play, as this viewer said, an illusion, a play, a skit. So you, and some of you are already experiencing that, where you're in your life, but it feels like you're watching your life like a skit, and that's observer mode. That's where the most peace arises. Now, some of you may ask, don't I need to do something about this situation? Yes, but first observe and move into that place of peace. And from that place of peace, what then arises may be the action to take. But when your thoughts are occurring and they're creating this current of worry and fear, and you're swimming in that current of worry and fear, you can't even think anything other than worrisome thoughts and fearful thoughts, you have to back out of it at some point and decide to be the observer. As it is occurring in your experience, you can decide, I'm just going to watch this play out. And so there are times in my own experience where a busy thought, it keeps reoccurring. I don't have to do anything about it. I can just simply observe. And a sentence that has been helpful to me is, isn't this interesting that thoughts like this can actually arise in this physical experience? Isn't this interesting that even though I'm an eternal being, in this physical form, these thoughts can actually arise? Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting that I can actually feel the emotion of fear as this thought arises, even though I'm an eternal, indestructible being? It's interesting that in this physical form, in this human form, that these thoughts can arise. And I observe it as interesting, and there's nothing else I need to do with it. I just observe it as interesting. That's it. Isn't it interesting that this can actually arise while I'm here in this human physical form, knowing fully well that I am eternal and I am indestructible. There is nothing that can destroy the eternal being that I am. Yet, in this physical form, this human form, this mind can conjure up fearful thoughts and worrisome thoughts that make me feel that I am somehow destructible. Yet I know, in my grander awareness, that I am indestructible. And there's nothing that can occur in this experience, even death, that can destroy me. Because death is simply a transition from this physical form into my eternal state, which is what I truly am. So those are the three things that I want to bring into this conversation. There's tons more that I want to share. But to wrap this up, I'm going to ask you all to comment from this perspective. In light of the challenge that you're experiencing, using that label, in light of the problem, the challenge, whatever life event has emerged, and you're experiencing it as challenging, difficult, hard, insurmountable, whatever labels you have put on it, or however you're experiencing it in your human form, because your eternal state does not see it in that way, because you're an eternal being. But from whatever, in regard to whatever experience that has emerged that you're experiencing as difficult, challenging, or as a problem, share this in your comments. Where am I in the knowing that I am source, energy, manifested in human form in light of this problem? Where am I in the awareness that I can use my imagination to conjure up thoughts of despair, worry, and concern, or using my imagination to conjure up thoughts of hope, possibility, opportunity. Where am I in light of this particular challenge situation? Where am I with regard to my awareness of how I can use my imagination in either way? Where am I with regard to my ability to simply observe my thoughts and not become attached to my thoughts? Where am I in my ability to disallow thoughts from controlling how I feel and allowing and becoming simply the observer of those thoughts? Where am I in the awareness that life is simply a series of events and I give them meaning? Where am I in all of these four things? So when we're talking about problems and challenges, it's very easy, and something's coming up on my screen here. When we're talking about challenges and problems, when we use those labels, it's very easy to watch a video like this and go, yeah, but here's my problem, Allison, right? It's very easy to go there. I'm asking you to, let's have a conversation, Awaken community, around challenges and problems. View yours, like take a look at, this is your challenge and your problem, and simply ask yourself, where am I in my awareness that this has no meaning other than the meaning that I give it? Look at it and reflect on the problem and the challenge in that way. Where am I in my awareness that this has no meaning other than the meaning that I give it? Where am I in my awareness that I may have actually forgotten that I am source manifested in human form? And where am I in my remembering of that? Where am I with regard to this problem in the knowing that my imagination can be used to create that which I desire or to torture myself? Where am I in my awareness that thoughts can simply be observed and not be attached to? That is the conversation that I want to have with you all. And I will create subsequent videos from that, from whatever you're sharing from that perspective. Be transparent, be real, but share it with those, write down those four things that I just said and reflect on the problem or the challenge that you're experiencing from those four lenses, through those four lenses, and then share your comments from that perspective, and I will create more from what you are sharing below this video. And is there something that I've shared here that caused you to rethink where you are? Share whatever you are experiencing as a result of watching this video in light of whatever challenges or experiences you want to transmute. Share that below this video. And we'll have a lot of conversation around it, and a lot more videos may be created as a result of what you're sharing here today, and more may actually be unfolding as a result of you choosing to be transparent with our community here in whatever you're experiencing in light of what I've shared. So that's it for this video. I'm probably going to record 1 or 2 more videos based on questions that I've received from you all. But that's it for this video. Go ahead and share. And I will be back based on what you are sharing below this video.
Thanks everyone for joining me for another video. I just wanted to remind you to take what resonates and discard what does not, because your inner being, soul, and higher self knows what is relevant for you at this point in your human journey. If you'd like to connect with me personally about whatever is going on for you, you can go to AllisonPhillips.tv/connect. If you're looking for more videos and audios, there are some more at AllisonPhillips.tv/downloads. And I'll see you guys in the next video.